Have you ever wondered what people ate long before wheat became an everyday part of our meals? How did they live without soft bread, steaming roti, or the golden fields waving in the wind? What did their plates look like, and how did they get all the nutrients they needed? Join us on a journey back in time to uncover the secrets of forgotten meals and the hidden strength of ancient diets. We'll explore what different communities ate when wheat was not part of their world. You might be surprised at the variety and wisdom of their meals. And you can share your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. Let's dive in. Imagine a world without wheat. It's hard to picture, isn't it? For many of us, wheat is like an old friend. You see it in bread, pasta, cereal, even sauces. But before wheat became a superstar, long ago people lived without it. They found other foods and ways to stay healthy and strong. This journey takes us back to a time before farms and fields, to a time when people were really connected to nature. Before wheat took over the fields, different groups of people relied on a variety of wild plants for their food. They were experts at finding and using what nature provided, turning even the smallest seeds or roots into nourishing meals. This way of living was not just about food, it was about understanding and respecting the land. It was a skill passed down through generations, helping people survive and thrive in different environments. These ancient practices show us that it's possible to live well without wheat, relying on the gifts of the earth and our own resourcefulness. It's a reminder that nature has a lot to offer if we know how to appreciate and use it wisely. In the vast and harsh deserts where wheat couldn't grow, ancient people discovered strength in unexpected places. They turned to desert plants like the humble date palm, which provided not just food but also water and building materials. The nutritious dates were a lifeline, offering energy and sustenance. These resilient communities thrived on these gifts from the desert, proving that life and nourishment can flourish even in the toughest conditions. Then we have the tough and chewy millet, a grain that doesn't need much water to grow. It was a favorite in dry lands where wheat couldn't survive. People also found food in the tiny amaranth plant, whose leaves and seeds were packed with nutrients. They were patient and clever, waiting for the right time to harvest and using every part of the plant. In the desert, there were tasty treats like prickly pear fruits, which they carefully peeled to enjoy. They even used cacti paddles as food and medicine. They understood the value of each plant and used it wisely. This knowledge helped them survive and thrive in the desert for generations. And when the tough times ended, they still stuck with these foods because they knew they could rely on them. In the forests, there were other discoveries. The oak tree with its acorns was a treasure trove. Sweet chestnut was another valuable source of food, especially when the winters got tough. These foods may not sound like exciting meals today, but back then they were super important. People didn't waste anything. They carefully collected, dried, and ground the acorns and chestnuts to make tasty breads and porridges. This was how they got their vitamins and calories. They also used every part of the plants they gathered. Nothing went to waste. They made medicines from roots, flowers, and leaves. They even used tree bark to make dyes for coloring. They understood the secrets of the forest and used them to help their health and daily life. So even when the winters brought challenges, they were ready. They didn't have wheat, but they had the skills and knowledge to live well in the forest. And then we come to the people who lived near the ocean. They had a different kind of wealth. They could catch fish and gather shellfish, seaweed, and other treats from the sea. They learned to use every part of what they caught, and nothing was wasted. This way of living taught them to respect the ocean and its creatures. They knew that to stay strong, they needed to keep the balance, so they didn't take more than they needed. Along the coast, people didn't just find food, they found a way of life. They used fishing tools like nets and lines to catch yummy fish and shellfish. They also gathered seaweed and other treasures from the ocean. These foods weren't just delicious, they were full of good stuff our bodies need to be strong, but it wasn't easy. They had to be patient, waiting for the right time to catch the best seafood. And they had to travel far to find the tastiest treats. In these coastal communities, there was more to life than just food. People developed special skills to live well near the ocean. They learned to read the tides, predict the weather, and navigate the seas. They built boats and tools to help their work and daily life. Some folks even traveled to faraway lands, bringing new ideas and stories back home. Living by the coast wasn't always easy, but it taught people to be adaptable, creative, and connected to nature. People didn't just eat the seafood they caught. They used their creativity to turn it into delicious meals. They learned to roast fish over an open fire, adding a touch of local flavors. They also dried fish in the sun to enjoy it on days when catching fish wasn't an option. These methods not only made their meals tastier, but also helped preserve food for when supplies were low. One thing that's amazing about these old ways of eating is that people managed to get all the nutrition they needed without worrying too much about it. They didn't have fancy vitamins or supplements, but they knew which plants and foods were packed with the stuff that made them strong. They understood that a balanced diet, one that had a mix of things from the land and the sea, was the key to staying healthy. They didn't have supermarkets or packaged foods, but they had a deep connection with nature. They knew exactly where their food came from and how to use every part of it. They didn't waste anything. Each meal was a blend of patience and skill. It wasn't easy. It took time to gather, prepare, and cook their food, but they were proud of what they did. They valued the connection between their bodies and the land. They believed that the strength of a person wasn't just in their muscles, but also in their mind and spirit. As we look back at these ancient ways of eating, we realize that they weren't just about surviving. They were about thriving in some of the toughest conditions. These people didn't let the lack of wheat or other common foods hold them back. Instead, they found strength in unexpected places and created a way of life that was not just about food, but about connection, balance, and respect for nature. If you want to know more about traditional diets from around the world, check out our videos on forgotten foods that are making a comeback. Remember, the past holds valuable lessons for our future. Maybe by understanding the wisdom of our ancestors, we can find better ways to live healthier lives. Thanks for joining us on this journey through time. Don't forget to subscribe for more fascinating stories and leave your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. Until next time, stay curious and keep exploring the amazing world around us.